Okay, I'm going to call the Board of Finance Subcommittee Monday, June 6th to order at 5:40. We have one agenda item, and that's to review the third amended budget for the current school year. And I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Jacobs to review the changes that we made, and then if any questions, please stop us in the middle of it, whenever, and we'll answer those questions. Danielle.
Thank you, everybody, for letting me present the third amended budget to you for the 21-22 school year. We typically only have a first and second budget amendment, as all of you are aware. Our second amended budget for this year focused on reflecting the majority of the impact of the ESSER funds. So this third amended budget is more incorporating those typical adjustments we would make at this time of year as new information becomes known. So let's go ahead and get started by drawing our attention to the column titled 21-22 third amended budget with today's date on it. So I'll provide a high-level overview, and then we'll dig more into the details in the following pages. The first subtotal line for total revenue is showing in the third amended budget just over $182.6 million. The second amended budget was reflecting revenue at just over $180.5 million. This is an increase of about $2,075,000 to revenue. If you scroll down to the final subtotal on the page, you'll see total expenditures in this budget are presented at just under $183.1 million. And the second amended budget presented expenditures at just over $179.8 million. This difference is an increase of about $3,265,000. In total, the budget is showing us expenditures exceeding revenues by just under $500,000. As you all know, the Uniform Budget and Accounting Act prohibits us from spending greater than the amount in the approved budget. So our expectation remains that once the fiscal year is all said and done and transactions have been completed, that we would expect to still come in around $1 million better than this budget's reflecting, which would flip those figures to support revenues exceeding expenditures by about $500,000. Finally, you'll see the budgeted fund balance.
You missed me. Where'd you pick up the million?
That's our normal variance that we anticipate seeing within the budget. So as this budget presents, there's usually a little cushion in here of approximately $1 million. So we usually do better. A cushion for unknowns or approximations
somewhere in here that's not, it's in the budget, but it's not being spent.
Correct. So if you look at our normal budget process, the abilities who don't spend all the money, wages that we assume at this point we would spend, and then something happens. So there's always money left over, and it's hard to budget for those things. Again, because of the Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, the approval of the budget caps what you should be spending. So typically, we always side on the go on the conservative side of things, make sure that expenditures are where they're at, so that we don't exceed those once the audit is completed. Typically, around $1 million better.
Because of our fund equity, we can show the negative 467.
Right. So the 467 is what the budget shows. We will be typically $1 million better than that. So most likely revenues will exceed expenditures by like about $500,000. That's our expectation.
So are you looking for the board to approve the amended budget?
Yes, third amended budget, which is what's found.
Thank you.
Go ahead and continue. So we'll take a peek at them.
Sorry, I got one other question. Without adding all of these up, where did we come up with the extra $4 million or so in regards to our total expenditures? From where we were at our second amended budget at 179, now we're up to 183. Where did that variance come from?
Yeah, I think the next page will highlight a good amount of those figures for you to break that down a little further. we can go ahead and skip to that guide and then see if that clarifies. We can start with expenditures on this page.
That's fine.
Okay, so this budget variance summary, which is the next report that follows. Section 2 is the expenditure adjustments. We'll start there. So we can see that that net adjustment of the just over $3.2 million is comprised of a few different areas of greater adjustment. The first line there is teacher wages and ducks. So we do adjust here for known leaves as they become known to the district. So there's a decrease there of about $300,000. The next line presents other wage changes. These would be one-time wage adjustments, not subject to return of expense, at a little over $2.5 million. On top of that, you'll see line item 5 is of significance with $1 million transfer set aside for capital projects.
I'm sorry, what are those capital projects?
So those are yet to be determined.
Yeah. That's
That was what.
The 2.5 is the other thing you said.
Correct.
Right. Okay. If we pop back up to the revenue adjustments in the first section, I want to highlight line 5, the adjustment for grants carryover funds. That's just under 6.7 million. And that has a little asterisk by it because if you look down to the bottom of this page, it emphasizes the one-time revenue sources that make up the vast majority of this funding. So you'll see that a combination of various COVID-related relief funds are make up a significant amount of this number here.
So have all the funds been allocated from the ESSER and all the other funds?
Yeah, all of the funds that we've been that we've submitted applications for and gotten approval for are reflected in their totality in the second amended budget, and now the third amended budget has some newer ESSER components that we have approval for.
So what ends up now? And again, look at a lot of these we weren't made aware of since March. So over the course of time, it continues that we're made aware of different grants and different allocations. So as of now, this is where it stands. I think that a lot of it's already been allocated. There may be more, we don't know. But again, that will, if there is any more, that will be next week.
But what did we get what we were expecting from the ESSER?
For the ESSER and the 11T funds, we got exactly what we were expecting. These
Okay.
other funds like the Child Stabilization Fund, the Gear 2, the IDEA ARP money, those types of things, some of them we had an idea that we were getting, and we had absolutely no idea how much it was.
Okay,
So that's, now we know, and that's when we know, that's when we punch it for.
okay, but like ESSER 1, 2, and 3, we're good with those.
Right.
Okay, returning back to the revenue adjustments on line 1, as a result of those one-time funding sources that we had, we're now reflecting the transfer of local property taxes to the student intervention fund of just under $5 million on line 1. Line 2, we have a little additional funds that we picked up from the MISD, who also has COVID funds passing through to them, which allowed additional distributions to the local school districts for special education village funds of a little under $500,000. The rest of the adjustments in this category here are fairly immaterial. If there's any other line items that you have questions on, we can discuss those as well. Okay, all right. The next 2 pages, we'll just briefly touch on what these cover. This is the summary of revenue changes. The first page of the report provides you with subtotals of the various revenue originating sources, foundation, local, state, federal, and fund modifications. The second page highlights where the local, state, and federal sources are identified as grant figures for us. So it's just presenting revenues in a couple of different formats. Finally, the last report is the summary of expenditure changes by object. You'll see there's a column here showing the difference between the third amended as compared to the second amended budget. And there's references to the tables down below that provide further detail associated with the changes in those areas. The line item for wages is adjusted by just under 2.2 million. Further broken down in table A, you can see that's distributed amongst the various wage categories in that table. Table B reflects the adjustments for benefits, minor adjustment of just under 100,000 in that area. Table C shows an amount of $125,000 increase. There's further description in C regarding specific areas of a decrease to contracted paras and special services of about 350,000. Additional costs for contracted custodians of about 50,000. Increase in costs for contracted maintenance within our buildings, electrical, roofing, grounds work, those types of maintenance repairs that we need to keep up on. Tuition increase for dual enrollment of about 69,000 due to increased participation. And increase of about 100,000 for transportation, routing, and navigation software that was recently approved. Table D shows the breakdown of the increase to supplies, materials, and other, which is just under 873,000. Majority of that figure being made up of that transfer to capital projects for 1 million.
I have a question about the contracted paras for special services. So is that because we just couldn't find people? Is that why we're getting a $350,000 basically refund here?
It's a combination of unfilled roles and the budget that we passed at the first amendment. The trajectory at that time, we thought it was going to keep going at that level. So with the first amendment, we increased quite a bit, assuming that we would fill all those spots. So this is just a reflection of unfilled, along with kind of a more flattened second half of the year as far as postings going.
And then our contracted bus drivers and contracted custodians, is that because we couldn't find people?
So those,
Filling those?
yeah, those are going up a little bit because we were able to not hire wage related, but some additional third-party contracted.
Bus drivers being used for field trips and sports or regular?
Most of this adjustment is field trips and sports related.
I guess I have a question about it then. I know that some schools and some grades were told that they could not have field trips because there were no bus drivers. So who is actually paying for, it is like, are we folding in the cost into the field trip? Or are we just covering it for some buildings and not for others?
For field trips, all the buildings pay for the actual cost of what it is, whether our drivers drive it or a contracted service drives.
Okay.
So they pay the cost. Typically, I mean, it depends on what it is and how long it is. If they're comparable costs, especially when you start rolling it into return, like they know that's
Right.
It's comparable.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I was just curious if that was the complaint that I had received. And I was just curious if, like, as Jill asked, if these were for field trips, why some people were able to avail themselves to this and others.
So even if we had a full staff of drivers, we typically do deny or move or not allow certain field trips. We can only allow a certain number of field trips to go on any given day. So as those times, as the allocations or slots are filled up, it bounces some later and later. Sometimes we can't control.
Oh, no, I mean, that's fair. I was just like wondering how that worked because, you know, at one of our schools we have a near riot right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jill. I was just going to ask if there are any other questions.
Page 2, the expenditures. What is an example of another wage change?
So the other wage change, that's the allocation that the board has authorized us to explore the neighborhood of some sort of compensation stipends for certain individuals. that's, from my vantage point, that hasn't been finalized yet. What has been finalized and what our problem is, if there's any inkling of doing it, we need a budget. So budget wise, it's in here, it's set to go, whatever the board decides to do, move forward, not move forward, change, do whatever, that's entirely up to the board. The money will be there.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, there are no other agenda items, so there aren't any more questions. So close the June 6th Finance Committee.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna call the Building and Site Subcommittee meeting of June 6, 2022 to order at 6:08. We have a couple of items on the agenda. The first one is the change order summary report for the month of May. Mike from Martinell is here to discuss it.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So only one agenda on or item on our agenda tonight for the change order summary number 27 for May, which is directly related to the work that we did to the Seneca Middle School scoreboard last year. The original scoreboard reconfiguration was a little bit different than the new one. So the three beams that support that scoreboard are sticking above the top of that scoreboard a little bit. So we'd like to cut those beams off, make it a little more aesthetically pleasing for the community, and then paint it back to that scoreboard.
It's the back page, sorry, it's that board.
Where?
That's at Seneca Middle School.
In Big Chippewa. You're not getting away with just that.
And then there was a pretty extensive credit that was established by Metro Technology Services for bid pack T08. There was a significant reduction in scope. So there's a $153,000 credit to the technology budget for T08.
That's great.
So I believe we're,
I'll
I'll
let
let Angela.
Yeah, I'll let Angie speak to her.
I have a friend. So there was, we didn't use all of the allowance, so there's the 14,000. And then we were requesting the charging card for all of the elementary school classes. And then we were able to use about 60 that we had existing and distributed them. So we removed, and that was almost 100,000. That was 96,000 of the change, just using equipment that we already had. And then we reduced our laptop count by about 40 because everybody got, like the admin got in desktops. And so some of them didn't need laptops as well. So we were able to reduce that.
Didn't we already buy a bunch of copiers?
This is, so it's interesting because we're fast tracking this to the board. So what you saw in the board, under a board motion, that's what this is. So yes, we are buying. Correct.
Yeah, but what was the change we did that Sarah brought to us in copy?
That was printers. Those are printers for the computers.
Okay, so these are copy and printers.
These are office copiers.
Are they black and white?
Black and white, a few color, mostly black. So the next agenda item are copiers. I'm looking at purchasing 26 copiers. Basically, you can see most of these copiers are between 7 and 9 years old. They're about the useful life of the copier, about the counts that money counts, well above the counts that you typically see in the copier, and or you can't buy parts for them when there aren't available parts. So we kind of held off as long as we could with these copiers, and again, you've allocated money out of the bond to replace copiers. Now is the time that we're choosing to do it. Plus the other side of this, the lead time on copiers are pretty substantial.
Is service included in these?
Yes. 5-year service at 0.0039. Three copies are 0.0039.
Why would they print that? It was $80,000 a month.
Although that's the meter.
Yeah.
Those are the meters. So that's the actual capacity tax.
No, I'm saying that they bring that.
So over the course of, so like, that one, that's since 2014. So you take that number, divide by,
Yeah, I'm looking at the, look at the month. One that's saying that.
and like Kim said, a lot of these are used for printing too. because of higher speed. So what you do is, instead of printing, or send it directly out.
Everybody's setting in there.
And it's cheaper than money. Not user cheaper.
Is each staff member given an amount of time?
Well, it depends on the building. That's the majority of the lot for that's $20 amount. Yeah. They get the budget. They issue that. I'm just- All right, that's those.
I have one question about the scoreboard. It's a side note. What did we do to the scoreboard? Did we totally replace it?
Yes. Yeah, we replaced the whole.
First, how would that scoreboard compare to the one at Chippewa High School?
The one at Chippewa Valley High School, I think, is more digital than the one at Seneca. So the one at Seneca just basically shows your score and your time and stuff like that.
So what do you be able to give an idea of what it would cost? Okay.
Yeah, right.
Any other questions? Right. I will close the subcommittee meeting at 6:16, 14 minutes before the board.
I'd like to call to order regularly scheduled board of next November 6th. Can you please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Bednar and Mr. Silva this evening, both of them have been having employment situations out of their control and we're doing the best we can do with CVS. Next up is presentations and recognitions. Mr. Levin.
Sure. This evening, we're going to recognize students from Science Olympiad. And we have many elementary students here, and we also have high school students. So I'm going to present Ms. Samantha Voss, who is our elementary Science Olympiad coordinator and a teacher at Ottawa Elementary. Talk about your program, please.
All right, that was my first slide. My name is Samantha Voss, and I am the district coordinator for Science Olympiad for K-12 and also the head coach at Ottawa Elementary School, and also previously a parent coaching event, like a lot of our parents here at the elementary level when my children attended Miami Elementary School. I am so pleased that Chippewa Valley continues to offer Science Olympiad as a program for our students to give them an opportunity to extend their learning even further than what we are doing right now in the sector. So, there we go. What is Science Olympiad? Science Olympiad is a program dedicated to creating the next generation of doctors, scientists, and engineers. Students work in teams to explore, experiment, and study various science, technology, engineering, and math topics. There is no study guide with Science Olympiad. Students, under the guidance of their event coaches, must determine their own course of study to fully understand their topic. Teams then compete in various events, which encourages them to demonstrate their newly acquired knowledge. There are two competitions at each level, a district-wide competition and a county-wide competition at the elementary level, which are the teams we have represented here today, and then a regional and state competition at the secondary. Our teams are formed at the elementary level in several different ways. We have some schools that offer an option to try out in person. Some take STEM-based tests. And I love Sequoia, what they are doing this year. The head coach at Sequoia actually created a Schoology class and interacted with her students for tryouts during Schoology. So I love that she's utilizing our new platform and our new technology to form her teams. Once teams are formed, events are based on several, they're assigned based on several factors. We try to assign students based on their interest levels first, and then previous experience that they've previously been in that event in previous years, and then the times of each event. Because if you have any head coach in Chippewa Valley, scheduling is its own scientific process. It requires a lot of work. Trying to make progress. Our teams have been practicing since January at the elementary level. It's in the fall at the secondary level. At the elementary level, we're getting together once or twice a week, depending on how soon the competition is, to study our specific topics, build, engineer, and do hands-on learning and developing skills. Highlights from the Chippewa Valley District Tournament. Our district tournament was on March 5th this school year, and it looks very different than tournaments that we had in the past. We hosted a closed-style format with an arrive, compete, and lead format. Students and parents, all of our students and parents were wonderful and super gracious and understanding of the format, and they competed with the class and grades that we know our Chippewa Valley students and families possess. Awards were virtual, with Fox taking third place, and they're here tonight, Sequoia taking second place, and China taking first place. And ultimately, it was a great day had by all. And we did get a couple pictures from inside the events there. So there's just all the hands-on learning. Parents and observers are not allowed at most of our events, with the exception of two. So this is like unique
summer event, so it's just the next couple of slides. So some of the things that they're competing in, Shrine Busters, and that one right there is charged up. On the left right there is students who have built a launcher for ping pong propulsion. And on the right is reflection relay, my favorite event, which requires a ton of math and knowledge and angles. Highlights from our county tournament. Overall, Chippewa schools had a great showing at the county tournament. Mohawk took 4th place, Cheyenne took 5th, Miami took 6th, Sequoia took 7th, and then rounding out the top 10 was Fox and 9th, and Sequoia and 10th. So we did a super great job at the county tournament, and these are just photos here from us competing in the home community college at the county tournament, which was just a few weeks ago. Our middle school and high school teams also competed this year. Seneca took 2nd place, Iroquois took 4th place, and Algonquin took 7th place at the regional competition, which was on March 19th. Also on March 19th was the high school competition for regional, and Chippewa Valley High School took 2nd place, Dakota took 4th place, and the International Academy took 5th place. So I want to extend congratulations to our secondary schools as well. And I have seen some of them here actually. So, yeah. So I would like to introduce to you our top winning schools. We do have all 3 of them here at the elementary level. These are our top winning schools that are district competition, and they are. We could start with 3rd place, Fox Elementary School.
So we're gonna have Fox, with the students who are on Fox Science Olympiad team, please come up here. So, I've been thinking about how I'm gonna arrange all this. So Fox, just come on up. Test, test. Oh, all right, Fox students up here. You students are all from Fox. This is all Fox. Let's hear these Fox students. What's your name? Madison one.
Eric.
Madison, what grade are you in?
5th.
And what was your event?
Charged up and whether or not.
What are you doing charged up?
Study of electricity.
That's a pretty large area of study. You should be proud of that. And your name is?
Alexia Sam.
And Alexia, you've got a lot of hardware there. Now, from what I understand, that you can really file a lot of that online. So what's that little trading company where you get all the little doodads you can order? What's it? You remember that? You know, who's the teacher in Prague? Where do you order all that stuff? Oriental Trading. There we got that. So why don't you show us the medal on here that you're most proud of? It's probably from baseball.
This one is 3rd place medal for the county for anatomy.
One more time. All right, Corinne, and your grade is? You're 4th grade, so you're gonna be back next year? Okay, because I don't know if Miss Moss is gonna be back next year. She said she did it 1 year. She's not sure she can do that anymore. And what was your favorite medal here? What do you have for there?
Crash card.
Crash card, now that sounds like fun. I've been involved in that event a few times. One time it was with my wife's car. She was not too happy. What do you do in that event? Build a car so it can go down with the ramp. And so what place did you get? Wow, future GM. Sequoia, come on up. Sequoia kids. Sequoia kids, come on up. good. Love hard work too. Great. All right, your name?
Charlie Baki.
Charlie Baki. And on the medals there, what was your event first? What's your favorite event?
My favorite event was Valley estimation.
What kind of estimation?
Valley estimation.
That's kind of estimation. I haven't done that kind of estimation before. And what's your favorite medal that you've won?
It was for first place in the county for simple machine. Maddie James.
Maddie, and your favorite event? Now, is your favorite event necessarily a medal? Yes. Okay, so you're getting two birds with one stone there. Because you could say your favorite event is something you didn't win a medal for, right? But you're not doing that. No kid would do that.
So my favorite was Crime Busters.
Crime Busters. So what did you solve?
So you had to identify like mystery powders, fingerprints, inks from pens, tire tracks. Oh, achievements.
Good, so your dad's very careful around the house now, isn't he? Because you know who took that last piece of pizza out of the refrigerator, right? Your name? Claire. You have a lot of stuff. Is this all about science on there? Oh, Crime Busters, that's a badge. All right, what's your favorite?
Crime Busters too.
What was your favorite part of Crime Busters?
Probably solving the.
So what did you learn about shoe prints?
There's one shoe print that is very not noticeable, and you have to take all the suspects and match it with other shoe prints.
Okay, well, that sounds like some worthwhile society.
Yeah.
Sophia, and what's your favorite one?
First place for reflection relay.
All right, reflection relay. What do you do on that one?
We have to bounce mirrors to, or a laser to hit the mirrors and hit a target.
Laser? Well, be very careful with that, okay? It's like the judge, be like all of a sudden, whoa. It's the eye doctor. And your name?
Paige.
Paige, okay. And you got another one.
Reflection relay.
Were you two partners? Well, you were partners, huh? And so who really did all the work? You both did that. Would you say that too? That's nice. You guys practice that. What was your favorite event? What's your name first? Sean what? All right, Sean, your favorite event?
My favorite event was amazing.
All right, what do you do on amazing arthropods?
You study the types of you study the classes and orders of bugs, and you have to identify some species of them, and you have to know a bunch of the parts of bugs.
And you think that's fun?
Yes.
Do you have any little brothers and sisters? Which class of arthropods do they fall in? Think about that one. Okay, your name?
Jack.
All right, Jack, and you got some medals here. What was your, which one means the most to you?
This fourth place is simple machines.
For simple machines, and so what did your simple machine do?
You didn't make them, but you had to answer 100 questions. You got 2 minutes for each station, and you get a scan trying to get to fill out questions about the machine that's on the table.
That sounds like a blast. Okay, so I need that group to just back up. That's Sequoia and Samantha. We're going to bring up who's our
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne. Come on up, Cheyenne. Seriously, all sat together, and when their schools go, they all stood up at the same time. Down here, move down a little bit. All right, we've got Cheyenne, and you were the first place in our district tournament, correct? Your name is? Alex, and what was your favorite event? What's it called? All right. Is it Code Writers? Is that what Code Warriors? Do you have a medal on there for that? Is that it? Oh, that's what he likes. He just wanted to say that. He really doesn't like that event, but he wanted to say he was first in the county. What do you do in Code Warriors? I've not heard of that event. I get it. Okay. Next, I'd rather talk to the kid about arthropods. I can handle that a little bit more. Code writing, it's out of my league. Your name is?
Michael?
Hi, Michael. And what about you? What do you think about Science Olympiad? What about?
I'd say grass for grass is my favorite.
Oh.
Grass for grass.
Graph?
Grass for grass.
Graph. Okay, well, tongue twister. And is that on here? Did you win something for that? Third place in account. Grass McGrath. What do you do on that one? There's another new one.
It's a test where you have questions on a graph and you have to answer them, at the end you make a graph information they give you.
How much time?
I think 30 minutes.
Is that enough? All right. You were trained well. Who was your coach? Wait. Coach for those two? Your mom. On that one. Mrs. Roy. Where's Mrs. Roy? Where is she? There she is. She's the coach. Let's hear it for our coaches. Your name?
Brendan.
What grade are you in, Brendan? Are you gonna do this next year or are you done? Sounds like a politician, yeah. Are you for that or against that? Yeah. What's your, yes, you're gonna do it again? Okay, good answer tonight. Change your mind after, it's okay, I'm glad you said yes tonight. What's your, what was your most favorite event?
Water bottle rockets.
Seen that one, tell us about that one.
You build rockets and then you compress them with air and then you shoot them water and then you time it how long it stays.
So like how long could a good design stay in the air? Do you remember?
27 seconds.
Wow, 27 seconds. That's excellent. Did yours stay 27 seconds? No. How many did yours stay?
About 15.
Still, I think 15 is a long time. Your name?
Alex, don't confuse it.
Thank you for explaining this. Okay. And what grade are you in, Alex?
Well, what grade do you think I am?
I think I'll just give him the microphone. We can take a lot more entertained by this Alex. And the mother of this Alex is saying, don't confuse that Alex. All right, I'm taking over. What's your favorite medal there?
This one in second place for ping pong propulsion in the county competition.
Ping pong propulsion? We don't know that event either. That sounds new to me. What do you do on that?
You build a capsule or like a device that launch a ping pong and you try it into like a bucket or a deflated pool with foam on the bottom.
A deflated pool with foam on the bottom.
Like a small one, like a kiddie.
Oh, all right. I took a gun and pool into the thing. Rolled it in on the track. Well, I could use a bigger target. I'm catching on. All right, your name? Tell me you're his brother. What's your name, Alex? Oh, don't confuse me with those two Alexes. What's your name?
Brady.
All right, Brady, your grade is?
Fourth.
Your fourth grade, okay. And what's your favorite? You're not in the same class, please tell me you're not in the same class. Okay, good. All right. Some teachers. What is your what's your favorite event?
Code Warriors.
All right. Were you guys in the same team, Code Warriors, trained by his mother? Or no, your mother trained a different event, didn't she? Your father did the Code Warriors. And what grade did you, what place did you get in the county? Or was it a district on Code Warrior?
District and
First? You got first and both? Wait, where's your dad? Yeah, like, so we weren't the only ones with a camera on, right? Your name is? What grade? And Your favorite event?
Crime Busters.
Crime Busters. Someone else do Crime Busters? We're talking about shoes, right? Back there on shoes. They actually, what place did you get in Crime Busters?
Second in the county.
District.
Fourth.
Where'd you guys get in the county and district? In the county? Okay, so then you got what?
Second.
In the county, and they got 7th. My understanding though is they filed a complaint against you. I actually think they scored higher than you. It's still out there being figured out. So what event was that again?
Crime Busters.
All right, and what was your favorite part of Crime Busters?
I liked how they made like the fingerprints like really hard. It was like really difficult, but we still did.
Did you have to like figure out aren't there different kinds of fingerprints that people have? Like, can you remember one? I don't know if it's on the spot.
One of them is like whirls.
Whirls. That's what it's called, how it goes around. All right, very good. And you? What grade are you in your name? Jacob, what was your favorite event? Charge. So that's the electrical thing. So what do you do in charge of? Because I don't remember. It's a long time since I was told last.
You build circuit testers, and you answer questions about electricity.
So are you helpful around the house? Have you rewired the home? Oh, look, you turn on this light switch and the lawnmower goes on. No, thank you. It's a very low bar around here. Your name is? Dakota, and your grade is? Fourth grade, okay, and you have a couple medals there. What are you thinking? What are you most proud of?
Second place in Crime Busters.
All right, second place in Crime Busters. And your favorite part of Crime Busters is figuring what? What did you like to do? What do you do with powders? Wait, could you kids quit jingling those things? I can't hear over here. I hear all this constant rattling. Said that. You know how that goes. I just encourage them. That's why I left classroom teaching. Question, I don't remember. Powders. What do you do with powders?
Put in iodine, vinegar, and water and test out what reactions we have.
What's that prove?
What powder it is.
Oh, you figure out the powder by doing these liquids with it. Okay, and your name is?
Emily.
Emily. And I have a feeling you're team captain, looking around here. What grade are you in, Emily? You're in fourth grade. And what do you have here that it brings you the most sense of pride?
Fifth place medal in county.
In what event?
All around.
All around. All around. All around was gymnastics. What do you do when all around in science? Is it, I don't get it.
Like all the teams scored combined.
So, isn't this nice? She's talking about the team. First kid who talked about the team. Let's do it. What we want to do right now is we're going to get some photos. So you just go right over here and take your line a little further over. And then wait, okay, keep going, keep going. We don't want to keep kids kind of straight row. You behind there. And then the last one, I wonder if we need a ladder for this picture. There. You want them to just on, wait a minute, you want these scientists on their own to figure out who's the tallest and do it that way? All right, board members, come on out here. Only. Yeah, any other pictures? Okay, so just before we do, okay, we got more. All right. All right, so first things, we need to recognize if there are parent coaches, just raise your hand, parent or teacher coaches, either one. Thank you for what you do. I know it's a lot of work and it's a program that really counts on a lot of parent involvement because it's just too much going on. So thank you very much. I also like to thank Samantha Voss from Ottawa Elementary. We, our sponsor or coordinator of this program retired from our district last year, and so we always have a sense of dread when that happens. We always expect that they're going to work till they're 120 if they're going to do Science Olympiad. That's a new business. And they retire, and sometimes it's not easy because it's such a big job. And so thank you, Samantha, for doing it. Dairy Queen gift cards for you. So stay there, and when you leave here, the kids will take you immediately to their scientist who's really concerned about details and money and thrifty. One of those students just said to me, I don't really go to Dairy Queen. How much is this card worth? Because I'm going to give it to him and he's going to give me the money. And you can figure out which kid it was who did it. All right, so now we have Jessica Downham. Jessica from Chippewa Valley High School. Jessica's here. All right.
So I just want to thank you guys for inviting us. So we're really happy to be here. Our team had really great success this year. We placed second at the regional competition, as you heard before. All of our students placed fourth and above in all of their events. And so this qualified us for the state competition. We had 3 students place at state. We had Nick Birch for trajectory, 4th in the state. We had Emma Harrison and Josh Hanna, 8th in the state, who were ready to do it. And I just want to quickly introduce, we have 4 captains, 3 of which are here. We have senior captains, Allison McGraw, Emma Harrison, and our junior captain, Gabe Cox, are here today. The other team members, Nick Birch, Sophie Brouillard, Josh Hanna, and Alyssa Nava are all here to join us today. So I just want to say congratulations.
I'll be kind to the high school kids. Because they can't take it. Oh, I know, I'm just joking. Like, elementary kids can take it. All right, so if we can have our high school kids come on up here, please. We're really proud of this is all Chippewa Valley High School, correct? And you're the coach at Chippewa Valley High School. So just come on down here. And this is our team. Super. I've got some notes on some of you. And the thing that's always interesting when you read this is these kids being where they are in their life. To them, I think it's a little bit different because they really probably in many ways have defined this as a strong possibility of a career path. Something to do with math or science. So I know we have, is Josh Hanna here today? Where's Josh? So Josh, you next year are attending University of Michigan. And what do you want to pursue? Engineering at U of M. That's quite impressive. And how many years have you been in Science Olympiad?
Moving fifth grade, this would be my
Just blew all my theories. I think he would say the only year he didn't do it was fifth grade. So all right, then I got to know, how did you end up you're a senior, correct? Right? So how did you decide all of a sudden, oh, now wait a minute, you want it on your thing. So you and Ben would look at it and say, oh, there's a kid who's really involved. See the difference between elementary kids. They just say yes. High school kids say, I cannot confirm or deny. But it must have looked pretty good, right? So where do you get your interest in engineering from?
always like math and science, so.
Very good. Good luck at U of M. That's quite an engineering school. Your name is? Sophie, what grade? You're in 9th grade. So how many years have you been doing science? I know it's going to be better.
Since fourth grade.
And why did you choose to go into Science Olympiad? Okay. And does it fit with a career path at all for you? You're 9th grade. Are you thinking about that stuff?
No,
Which are you good at science?
not really.
What are you good at? But you chose to go to Science Olympiad. Is it just because you wanted camaraderie of being with other kids, or were you just looking for something to do to go out and meet people?
My mom said I had to do this as sport.
Where's your mother? Thank you. Thank you. Mother of the year. You will do something. Renee. David, what grade? Okay, that's good. It's almost the end of the year, so make up your mind quick. So well, how did you end up in science? Don't tell me your mother's here and she forced you to.
I like science a lot.
And so, as a 10th grader, so you thought about careers?
Yeah.
What might that be?
Well, the main one that I probably want to get into is quantum physics.
I did that for about 30 years and then I got into this, so that's really good for you. Your name? Emma Harrison. Do you sing too? Did you just sing something, didn't you, at the high school? What did you sing? If your voice was in tune right now, I'd say sing that for us. No, I saw that. I was not there then, I know, admit that, but I remember I saw that on Twitter and I was listening to it too, so that's excellent. You not only sing, but you do science, is that correct? So are you a senior? What are your plans?
I'm going to Lawrence Tech for computer science.
All right, congratulations, and you are, we can clap for her. Wait a minute. There's a connection here. You two were partners on this, right? Called Write It, Do It. Okay, I have a feeling you wrote it and he did it. Is that right? What do you do on that?
So they give you a structure built out of random things, and he would look at it and then write out instructions for me on how to build it, and then I will look at his instructions and be given the same materials and have to build it.
let you flip-flop on that, or did you always do the same role? Okay, so you did what role? You were the writer and you were the doer. So how did you choose that he would write and you would do?
We eventually decided that one of us would freak out more with the looking part.
So you were better to freak out with that than him. He would kind of lose it. Okay. That's the way it is in a lot of relationships. And your name? Elisa? Oh, great. Ninth grade. And now what about you? Well, how'd you get to Science Olympiad? I love that answer. You get that answer like it's shocking. And with this group, it is a little bit, but that is a wonderful answer. What was your favorite event? Just like, what do you do in Rocks and Mills? You'll be back next year? Very good. Name?
Gabe Popso.
Gabe, what's on? Popso. All right, what grade are you in? All right, so how many years have you done Science Olympiad? Please answer better than him.
I don't know the years off the top of my head, but third grade I started.
What attracted you to Science Olympiad?
To be honest with you, when I heard it on the announcements, they said science, and I was like, I'm good at that. So I just was like, hey mom, can I join? And that's what happened.
All right, and you're still good at it? So what kind of a career are you thinking as an 11th grader?
I've had a lot of time to think about it, but I'm gonna just try and figure out like which science seems most suitable for me. I think something to do with engineering would probably be fun, so I might try that.
Okay, very good, Nick. Wonderful. Your name?
Allison McGraw.
What grade, Allison?
I'm a senior.
All right, and Allison, how long have you done Science Olympiad, or are you going to tell me you try to get this on your to add it for college admissions? No. How many years have you done it?
I've been doing it for 4 years.
Since all high school.
Yeah.
And are you naturally drawn to science? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What's your favorite science?
I like all science. I'm gonna be a chemical engineer, so probably chemistry.
Chemical engineer. Throw that out for me. And where are you going to school next year then?
Kettering University.
Good. Wow, these kids are doing great things coming out of science. Okay, your name is?
Nick Birch,
Nick Birch. And what grade are you?
10th grade.
10th grade. And you have some medals there. Were you a state medalist or something like that?
So I got 4th place for trajectory at states.
What do you do in trajectory?
You build a device to launch a ball at a target that's 1 meter mid from anywhere from 2 to 8 meters and anywhere from 0 to 2 meters away from the center line.
I got all that. And so do you do all this at the competition, or do you go prepared with some of it done?
You build the device at home and you test it and you build charts so that when you go to the competition, they give you 2 random distances and you have to launch it most accurately.
And so at the state level, what is like atmosphere wise when you're doing this? I mean, are kids like cutthroat? Are they, what are they doing? Are they like doing things to distract you or things like that?
No, I would say it's very supportive. Whenever you go there, everybody's always cheering for you.
So other teams cheer for other teams. Oh my gosh, how novel is that? No? You're saying no? Oh, you met a different group of kids, didn't you? But you just see the world in a special way, don't you? That boo was really an applause for me. So anyways, what do you plan to do? What grade are you in?
10th grade.
Oh, you got a lot. Do you really have a plan? Do you have a plan?
Some sort of engineering I'd like to go into.
All right, well, thank you. Let's hear it for these. Okay, real good. So we're gonna have board members come on up. These kids should be easier to watch this. Just step down a little bit that way. You kids can stay in one line. That's good. All right. And we'll kind of fill in around you. Photo time. Good. All right, I'm not sure, Jessica, down in high school, are there parent coaches or kids just on their own? Jessica's trying to lead.
Yes.
Jessica, in high school, do we have parent coaches too, or are kids on their own?
Oh, they just have a really great fan base, as you can see. They all even bought like shirts and stuff. To, like, represent. So like, they didn't have to help their student out, but it's really, a lot of it is all them. But the parents are just so supportive, can't, thank them enough for coming to every competition, providing support.
Yeah, that's great. All right, thank you, parents, for all that you do there. All right, I think we're good there, right? Did you have something?
We have the coaches from high school raise their hand, parents or coaches from high school. Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, we're gonna take a short recess, so these kids can go home and do their homework.
All right, thanks a lot.
Mr. Pearl, like support on that? Oh, really? Okay. by Mr. Pearl, supported by Mr. Exec, to approve the general consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone wants to questions or commentary? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And I think we have some,
We do. First up, we have Ms. A. Dudzinski. Run down.
Once it's over.
Whereas Kay Dudzinski has served the Chippewa Valley School District faithfully and diligently for a period of 16 years as a food service helper. Whereas Kay Dudzinski, through her leadership, has had a positive impact on staff, students, and the community. Whereas Kay Dudzinski, a conscientious, loyal, hardworking employee, has elected to retire. And whereas Kay Dudzinski will be missed by all her school colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District, not only on their behalf, but also that of the Superintendent of Schools and the administration, extend their thanks and appreciation for a job well done, as well as best wishes for the future. Be it further resolved that this resolution, having been adopted by the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District on the 6th day of June 2022, be made a permanent part of the records of the school district and a happy sent to Kay Dudzinski as an expression of our appreciation. Thank you.
So, congratulations, Kay. You're 17 years with Chippewa Valley, and I have something that I will read that was written by Amanda Snyder, who's one of the supervisors in food services. After 17 years at Chippewa Valley School District, we would like to congratulate Kay Dudzinski on retirement. She was hired in September 2005 as a latchkey aide, that's now called SAC, and a few months later subbed as a lunch monitor, which started her career in school food service. A year later, she became a food service helper at Sequoia, where she worked for 7 years. And in January 2013, she transferred to Seneca, where she quickly became friends with the team there. Kay has always gotten along great with everyone, leading with a smile and being a team player. The Seneca kitchen manager, Karen Toffer, said she will be sad not to have her there every day, as they have become good friends and love working together. And you can, I think, tell just what Kay's standing here. Kay's upbeat attitude, willingness to learn, and commitment to Chippewa Valley food service will be missed. We wish her all the best in her next chapter. Congratulations, Kay. What are your retirement plans?
I have 2 grandsons that I'm helping out with, and I have another son who just got married, so I'll be having another grandchild there. And my mom, I'll help out.
Very good.
Time to myself.
That's wonderful. Is your son here who just got married?
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be an awful lot of pressure. Our daughter-in-law's going, wait a minute. Not quite there yet. Anyways, so what we have for you here is the resolution, which was read by Biden, and we also have a retirement ballot for you. After 17 years of service at Chippewa Valley Schools, we really appreciate it. The job you do and others like you every single day is just so important to how our schools function and how we serve our kids. We really appreciate it, so thank you very much. All right, she asked for Dairy Queen. All right, you can have a Dairy Queen.
Do you have anyone here with you tonight, Kay, that you'd like to introduce us to? Any family members?
Oh, I have my daughter, my grandson Sammy, my husband Tim, and my grandson Tommy, and my son-in-law Tommy. All that's me.
Worthing Park, but your kids are, your grandkids.
Next up, we have Mr. Tom Bradshaw. Tom Bradshaw has served the Chippewa Valley School District faithfully and diligently for a period of 25 years as a music teacher. Whereas Tom Bradshaw, through his leadership, has had a positive impact on staff, students, and the community. Whereas Tom Bradshaw, a conscientious, loyal, hardworking employee, has elected to retire. And whereas Tom Bradshaw will be missed by all his school colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District, not only on their behalf, but also that of the Superintendent of Schools and the administration, extend their thanks and appreciation for a job well done, as well as best wishes for the future. Be it further resolved that this resolution, having been adopted by the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District on the 6th day of June 2022, be made a permanent part of the records of the school district and a copy sent to Tom Bradshaw as an expression of our appreciation. And I hope you remain as happy as you are today. You are
get to, but I'm going to say a few words about Tom. So I've had the pleasure of being the principal at Miami for all of the years that Tom's been the music teacher there, all of the years that I've been at Miami. And I can tell you that if you have, teaching is very difficult as it is. Teaching music is a whole different level, especially if it comes to the recorder units that they teach. So, and the singing and the banging on instruments and things that you hear, like, I'm surprised you still have your hearing. But Tom walks out of his class between classes and might be wearing an accordion, he might be strumming on a guitar, he might be playing jingles on the piano. The man is endlessly talented that way. But that's not that's just part of what Tom is about. So being that we were together as many years as we were at school, he had the pleasure of going through all of the professional development that we've had in the district. And so I just want to kind of name off a couple of them that have been most impactful, and I want to tell the story of what illustrates what Tom is all about. We went through, no, this is good, don't worry. We went through growth mindset training a while back, and it really instilled that we can always improve, we can always do better. We went through restorative justice training. We went through the 5D adoption for our teacher evaluation tool. We had crisis prevention intervention training, so our CPI, our crisis team training. And all along, Tom, I think, was just soaking all of that in. And a few years back, he's probably the one I can say that I had one of the most, he was most reflective on his self-evaluations. And he said, a couple of years ago, he said, you know, he saw where it was all going, and he said, I want to finish strong. And he wanted to soak up any feedback or anything else that we could give. And so one of the most telling stories I think I will be using in the future is about how we had a group of students who they had some challenging behaviors, and they especially were not feeling it in music class. They just did not, you know, they weren't feeling the recorders or anything like that. And for somebody who's as passionate as Tom is about music and music education, I think he took that very personally. And it wasn't until you put all of those training pieces together and we went through a restorative conversation that Tom's eyes were open to what these kids, why they were behaving or acting the way that they were. And from that moment on, Tom has given up time to play chess with kids. He's given up lunchtime periods to, if a kid was having a rough time in music class, and say, come on down, you know, you can spend some extra time with me. He is out there helping me with buses every single day. When buses are late, Tom is there doing those kinds of things. When teams call because we have a child in crisis, Tom always stops to check to make sure everything's okay. And I got to tell you, that is, to me, the most well-rounded, I can say that because, together, one of the most well-rounded educators that I've had the privilege of working with. To always have somebody that you can depend on, somebody that's there, somebody that has grown to understand that teaching is more than just the content of what you teach, but also how you impact the students on a whole different level. That is what Tom has grown to become. So, Tom, I'm here to tell you, you finished very strong. I'm very, very proud of everything that you've done. I appreciate everything that you've done, and you will truly be missed. So congratulations.
Principal with less patience and grit would have got rid of me a long time ago. And there have been many times where parents were chewing on him. I just felt bad. Sometimes it was my fault. But Craig always stood by me, and the people at Miami always stood by me. I'm just happy to go live on the river and lose some weight. So, thank you.
Well, since you set that goal in retirement, I won't give you a Dairy Queen card. You can contribute to that if you don't want that. Tom, first of all, thank you very much for your years of service to Chippewa Valley Schools. I know Craig, I think, explained it very well, as any elementary principal could, and I was once an elementary principal. It's just the skill, technique, just energy it takes to teach elementary music, where you have a whole class of 30, 35 kids. That's a little high. Let's go 28. No. They're sneaking some in. So anyways, taking a large number of kids and having them engaged in music, when you have kids that their range of interest is so broad that it may not be the thing they want to do, you constantly search for ways to engage them so that they get something out of it. So thank you very much for your service to our school district. We have in here the resolution, which was read by Ms. Biden, and it is framed, and your retirement bell is somewhere in transit. So as soon as we get it, we'll get it to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Tom, do you have any family member or anybody that you can meet this evening that came with you?
I told her to go get a massage tonight. Oh, wow.
You are all about your husband. We have two more resolutions for people that are not here, and then we finish this part.
Whereas Tracy Fusco and Kelly Bowser have served the Chippewa Valley School District faithfully and diligently for a period of 25 years as a secretary and 23 years in the clerical unit. Whereas Tracy Fusco and Kelly Bowser, through their leadership, have had a positive impact on staff, students, and the community. Whereas Tracy Fusco and Kelly Bowser, conscientious, loyal, hardworking employees, have elected to retire. And whereas Tracy Fusco and Kelly Bowser will be missed by all their school colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District, not only on their behalf, but also that of the Superintendent of Schools and the administration, extend their thanks and appreciation for a job well done, as well as best wishes for the future. Be it further resolved that this resolution, having been adopted by the Board of Education of the Chippewa Valley School District on the 6th day of June 2022, be made a permanent part of the records of the school district, and a copy sent to Tracy Fusco and Kelly Bowser as an expression of our appreciation. And we wish them all in their retirement.
Yeah, yeah, so. Our retirees. Tom's already out the door.
That's everything left.
That captain by November, you're already on the way to that. So, let's just go. Right there. Good.
Okay, we can take a minute so that anybody that came with the retirees, if they'd like to speak out. So, yeah, we're gonna just go and do E1 Freedom of Information Act appeal, Mr. Roberts.
Sure. At our last board meeting on May 16th, the Board of Education dealt with a Freedom of Information Act appeal. The board was made aware at that time that the district had not located any public records that were responsive to this FOIA request. And this is the reason the original FOIA request was denied. Moreover, that night, individual board members stated they had no personal knowledge of responsive public records to this FOIA request. So as a result that evening, the board voted to approve a resolution which stated the FOIA appeal was denied because the district was not in possession of any public records that were responsive to the April 28th, 2022 FOIA appeal or the original March 24th, 2022 FOIA request. The board that evening also directed administration to notify the FOIA requester of the board's action to deny the FOIA appeal. However, prior to sending such notice, district administration became aware of a public record that was responsive to the FOIA request. Therefore, based on that, it is administration's recommendation that the board take the FOIA appeal under further advisement during old business, which we're doing. Moreover, it is administration's recommendation that the board take action to amend its denial of the FOIA appeal because a responsive public record has been located. Also, as a result of this, it's administration's recommendation that a motion and resolution, which is attached for you to view, be considered this evening.
Okay, I'm going to read the, everyone has a copy of the, so approve amendment to May 16, 2022 FOIA appeal. Recommended motion is that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the following resolution regarding the Freedom of Information Act appeal as acted upon at the board's May 16, 2022 meeting. Whereas the board denied a Freedom of Information Act appeal at its May 16, 2022 meeting, and whereas subsequent to the May 16th meeting, board meeting, the district located a responsive public record to the FOIA request that was appealed to the board of April 28, 2022, and acted upon by the board at its May 16, 2022 meeting. And whereas the board desires to amend its denial of the FOIA appeal as a result of the responsive document that was located. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. Number one, the board rescinds its May 16, 2022 denial of the April 28, 2022 FOIA appeal. Two, the board grants in part the FOIA appeal because a responsive public record was subsequently located that is responsive to the original March 24, 2022 FOIA request and the April 28, 2022 FOIA appeal. The board, number three, the board directs the superintendent or his designee to provide notice of the board's decision to grant in part the April 22, 2022 FOIA and April 28, 2022 FOIA appeal to the requester, Ms. Monica Redico. The board, number four, the board directs the superintendent or his designee to provide the responsive public record to Mr. Redico. I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Biden. Rationale is the board denied the FOIA appeal on May 16, 2022. However, a responsive public record to the FOIA request and appeal was located subsequent to May 16, 2022 board meeting. Therefore, the FOIA requester is entitled to receive a copy of the response in public record, and the board's decision to deny the appeal is no longer applicable because a response in public record has been located. All right, so, does anyone have any comments or questions before voting?
Yeah, I do. At the last meeting, we were all asked if we sent a message. And all but one replied no. The other person was supposed to get contacted afterwards and ask. Being a little concerned, I went home, I started going through the emails, I found this message and I sent it off to the proper administrators. I guess with everything going on today, I have to ask why this was even sent off. I haven't seen any behavior. I've gotten a lot of threatening emails. In fact, I even got a poor attempt at a blackmail job from somebody that says they were in research or something, but they didn't even have the common sense to research and confirm the information they were falsely accusing me of. Okay? And they weren't even brave enough to sign their name to the email. I haven't seen any actions from these people, from parents, to justify sending them off being considered domestic terrorists. So I have to ask why this was even sent.
Go ahead.
I have to also ask, we were supposed to, Mr. Roberts, you said you were going to contact that board member and ask if they sent it off. Did you even contact them? And did they say, yes, they sent it?
I contacted the board member. The board member had no recollection of sending anything.
Because this email wasn't actually hard to find. Just because a parent comes forward, as we've had a lot lately, with statistics, information, facts, science, it doesn't agree with you. It doesn't give this board the right to send off their names to the Department of Justice. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. In fact, I'll paraphrase the president. He said, if you get offended by something, well, this is just what you signed up for as a board member. So if you're offended because somebody doesn't agree with what you said, that's no reason to send this off. I'm offended that we sent this off. This, I fully believe.
You read it?
No, I don't. No, I don't. But let me ask you, the other person. Do you think there's ever been anything? I would tell you, the other person on this. Yeah, there's actually two people. The other person on it has been anything but threatened. Yet their name was included, or they were included on this email sent off to the Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice. This is unacceptable. I mean, I believe that if I wouldn't have found this email, it would have never been brought forward, it would have been covered up. This is unacceptable, and I had to say my piece.
I will agree to half of it as well, but I think that some of the behaviors that we've seen in this boardroom are 100% socially unacceptable.
Well, then I
But
think
they're
we're
not
all gonna
decided.
have to start coming up with a list of people that we should report, and it's gonna be a long.
I'm not, no, Robert, I did not say that they should be reported to the Department of Justice. When you said that you've never seen anything that was not acceptable, that's the part I respectfully disagree.
So you think the majority of parents coming forward with information, you think they're a threat?
That's not what I said.
Okay, I just
Not
want
what
to
I said at
clarify.
all, nor did I say that they should be reported to the Department of Justice. What I said is that you said you have never seen anything in this boardroom that you found offensive in any way.
And I
How
have,
we have been spoken to, how we have gotten emails, how we have gotten threats, much like this one, is socially unacceptable. Do I think that rises to the level of reporting someone to the Department of Justice? No, I don't.
but I think it is not fair to your fellow board members to say that what has occurred in this boardroom is always socially acceptable.
Well, I have to say that just because some parents come up protecting their children, the thing they care about the most, they're gonna be passionate about what they're saying. If you're offended by that, then maybe you should look in a mirror. Because I don't consider that threatening. And most of the emails I've gotten, which are very hostile and insulting, I don't consider threatening, even though they're passionate about what they're saying.
And I get that you are now pushing a narrative, Robert, because I never said that I found them threatening. I said I found it socially unacceptable what has occurred in this boardroom. That is very different than what you are saying and what you are trying to accuse us of.
Do you think it's acceptable for this board member to have done what they did?
That is on for Mr. Bednar to answer. And he's not here, and it's not fair to question someone who's not here.
I've said that.
I just want to comment that from the look of that date on there, I think it was 7 October this year, and I was on the board a couple weeks after I was appointed. I never got a copy. I wasn't aware, so I really can't comment. I don't think I've ever reported anyone. Law enforcement.
As we shouldn't.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. Because when there's people threatening my life and my children's life, yes, I'm going to be reporting to law enforcement.
I guess we have to determine what is considered a threat.
If someone approaches the board table and calls you a comment, WHORE, do you think that's appropriate?
Do you think that's a threat?
Flooding?
Are you offended by names?
I'm offended by
Being offended does not mean it's a
or
threat.
a person that is bored, yes.
But being offended does
But I would
not.
not, it doesn't mean I would report it, but whatever Mr. Bednar decided to do based on what was happening at that point, he's not here tonight. And I think that we are done discussing it, and whatever he decided to do, you have said the board should be ashamed. The board did not do this. One person, and they did it because they felt that.
Well, you can't say why he did it.
No, I didn't say why.
You're assuming.
I didn't say I'm assuming why he did it. I said he's not here to explain why he did it. And whatever the reason is, this is in the past, it's over. We're going to vote to amend our denial of this FOIA, and it's a done deal. I feel like you're grandstanding. Yeah. Okay, so if everyone would like to vote on this, I would like to, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on the agenda is item F1. Mr. Roberts.
Recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley School Board of Education approve the appointment of Ms. Heather Batko to the position of principal, Cherokee Elementary School. Ms. Batko's effective start date will be July 1st, 2022.
Motion.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Ms. Patton, supported by Mr. Pearl. Please.
Ms. Batko is being appointed to fill a vacancy created by a retirement, and she meets all the qualifications.
Okay, is there any discussion, questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Congratulations.
Heather, and I know you're prepared. You've got a folder in your hand. I'd like to congratulate Heather for her work to achieve this new position. I think it's 10 years as an elementary principal, is that correct?
10 years is easy.
10, what did I say? Oh, 10, okay. 10 years as an assistant principal at the elementary level, that's right. And then at 6 different schools. So along the way, you've had the opportunity to learn from 6 different administrators, which I really think is a wonderful thing to have, because I'm sure there are things that when you look at each of these people, there are things you would like to emulate. I also know that you are a well-versed in elementary curriculum and in professional development. And considering your experience and your expertise in some of those areas, we expect wonderful things from you. So congratulations. Welcome to Cherokee Elementary as the principal starting July 1st. And now go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, it's a clipboard. Okay.
What's that?
It's a clipboard.
It's a clipboard.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to thank Superintendent Roberts and the Board of Education for giving me this opportunity. It has been such a huge honor to serve in Chippewa Valley as a teacher, assistant principal, and now principal of Cherokee. I would like to thank Marina Lakari, the amazing principals that I've served under, and the many talented staff members of the 6 schools that I've worked with. I appreciate the guidance and support that you've given me for so many years. I also want to thank my family, they're back there, for all of their love and advice. When I was a young graduate fresh out of college, I told my family that if I was able to fulfill my dream of becoming a teacher, I would be happy for the rest of my life and never ask for anything ever again. My family reminded me of this as I was eagerly and anxiously going through this interview process. I'm thankful to them for keeping me grounded because I've been given the opportunity to do a job that I love for so many years. Also, a huge thank you to a few of my Shawnee friends and colleagues for coming out tonight. It means so much to me since we've spent this part so many years working together. I think it's about 16. I know our paths will continue to cross in one form or another. I also want to thank my Cherokee staff. I'm super lucky to inherit a strong and talented team from working with them this year, and I can't wait to continue our journey in the fall. We're going to do great things together. And just one last thank you to Superintendent Roberts. I'm committed to the success of the students, staff, and Cherokee community while working together with our district to do what is best for all students. So thank you so much.
To introduce your family to us, we would love to meet the
So
people
I
that
have
are supporting.
my dad, my sister, my stepfather Tom, my mom, and my aunt.
Oh, that's
Then
nice.
my Shawnee.
I would like to add that Heather's dad is the general manager at Milne Ford. And Milne Ford just, so he's got some discount coupons for cars. Mustang, 20,000, he's so happy about his daughter. Anyways, Russ Milne Ford just donated a car to our auto tech program at Chippewa Valley High School. So thank you very much for doing that. A recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the appointment of Mr. Anthony Lewis to the position of Principal Cheyenne Elementary School. Mr. Lewis's effective start date will be July 1st, 2022.
I'll make that motion. Moved by Ms. Biden, supported by Mr. Burrow. Rationale, please.
Mr. Lewis is being appointed to fill a vacancy created by a retirement and meets all the qualifications.
Any questions or comments? Other than congratulations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
I'd like to congratulate Anthony on this promotion to Cheyenne Elementary Principal, as principal of Cheyenne Elementary School. And 2 of us sitting up here have been former principals at that school, so we're expecting you to take care of it. So, but we wouldn't assign someone there who we didn't think could do that and even make it better. I do want to just recognize Anthony's work in our district. He's not only been a teacher in our school district, he's been an administrative intern. He's been a curricular leader and took on some challenging roles as a curricular leader by going to levels where he had not had experience teaching and leading those teachers in a curricular process. Those are very important skills that one needs to have success as an administrator. I also know that Anthony is, well, you know, sometimes when you go back to, I did this with my daughter. I took her to the university where she was going to, she wanted to attend. And you arrange the time for your little tour. And you get this student out there who's going to take you around the campus. And you look at them and you think, where do they find people like this? They're just like so happy and so energetic and they just love everything so much. And Anthony was not my daughter's tour guide because it was a different school. But when I was talking to Anthony later in his career and I find out he was a graduate of Oakland University and that was one of his jobs, but, oh my gosh, he's a keeper. So congratulations, Anthony, and you'll be great at Cheyenne.
He is one of our graduates from Chippewa schools also, so he's been a part of our community for a while.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. You know, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and Superintendent Roberts for this opportunity. I have been a part of Chippewa Valley community for a long time. I started as a kindergarten student over at Mohawk Elementary and graduated from Dakota High School. I continued in Chippewa Valley as a teacher at Iroquois, coach at Dakota, curriculum leader at the high school level, and assistant principal of multiple elementary schools. Throughout my time in Chippewa Valley, I've always looked to make the world around me a better place. And I'm honored to accept the role of principal at Cheyenne Elementary and continue to give back to the community that has given me so much. I look forward to the opportunity to work with the entire school community to ensure that all kids have the opportunity to learn and to achieve a lifetime of success. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Especially your vocal.
Yeah, they've been the noisy ones tonight. I have my wife Julie, who's a curriculum leader right now in the district and teacher over at Dakota. Margaret, can you say hello, Margaret? There's Margaret. And then Ada is the one you've been hearing all night long. I also have my dad and my mom with me today too.
Is F3, Mr. Roberts.
Recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the hire of Ms. Monica Gabriel to the position of Sequoia Elementary School Principal. Ms. Gabriel's effective start date is still to be determined.
Support. Moved by Mr. Pearl, supported by Ms. Biden. Rationale.
Ms. Gabriel is being hired to fill a vacancy created by a retirement, and she meets all the qualifications listed on the posting.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, motion passes.
So I would like to congratulate Monica Gabriel on her appointment to this position. I think sometimes as someone from outside the district, I think there's a little extra challenge in that because you're just not known. And so it's a little bit different, I think. And Monica was impressive throughout the interview process. And what she's done in the school district where she works now and has worked for a long time is really impressive. She's been in the Roseville School District for many years, and she's been at different middle schools and the high school. And what stood out for me, besides her, what seems to be an unflappable personality, which I think is so important when you lead people, is the fact that She was at a 300 student middle school and was asked to go to be the principal of a 700 student middle school. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. You're just, when you have a school with 700 kids, it's different. Leading a bigger school is more difficult than a smaller school generally. And that stood out to me as something impressive that she's noted in her school district as someone who can get the job done. So welcome to Chippewa Valley. You'll be wonderful. So congratulations.
Folder or clipboard, so I guess that's my first learning experience coming somewhere new. But thank you so much to the board and Superintendent Roberts for this opportunity. This whole process has really been great. Just meeting the different members of your admin team and your building administrator team. It's clear that you've got some rock stars here, and I'm just honored to be a part of that team. So thank you so much. I promise to take good care of the building and the kids and the community. I'm really, really excited to get started. I do have to thank my family who's with me today. They're my backbone. They're everything. So my husband, Kevin, my kids down in Caitlin are in the back, my parents and my in-laws. I can't do life without these folks here. So thank you so much. I'll leave this.
We'll add that the buildings that became available kind of changed near the end. And I would just like to congratulate Mark Johnson on his move from Cheyenne Elementary to Erie Elementary. He requested transfer, and he's done a wonderful job at Cheyenne, and I know he'll do the same at Erie. So congratulations to you, Mark, on your move.
Okay, F4, Mr. Roberts.
Recommended motion that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve the hire of Mr. Shane Finney to the position of Dakota High School Athletic Director. Mr. Finney's effective start date will be June 20th, 2022.
Moved by myself, supported by Mr. McSack. Rationale, please.
Mr. Finney is being hired to fill a vacancy created by a retirement, and he meets all the qualifications listed on the posting.
Any questions or comments? All those in support signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Like to congratulate Shane, Mr. Finney, for his appointment to this position. Being an athletic director has its challenges, it has its rewards like any position, it has its challenges. Shane comes to us with a lot of experience in the private school sector. He was at, I'm going to say it's Cranbrook, right? I almost said Roper, and I don't know, right? At Cranbrook for, I think, 25 years, close to 25 years. And I think that's impressive, and I think it can kind of bring a new perspective to our school district, because private schools fill a different niche, and the importance of administrators to develop brand and develop alumni relations is key to the survival of those schools long term. And I know that he was widely respected there. He did many different aspects of the role, up to and including taking care of kids who were from foreign countries, who lived on campus, and he had to ensure their safety and make sure they get to their sporting events and then feed them and all those things you do. And Cranbrook has quite an outstanding athletic program. And as it's important to many people in our school district, those same things. So I know we came through the interview process very highly recommended, and I understood why when I interviewed him. So I think he'll add a lot to Dakota High School and to Chippewa Valley Schools. So congratulations, Shane, on your appointment.
Thank you.
I'm a coach, so I always have my notepad. Usually it's stuck in the back of my pants, but I thought I'd put it in my sport coat just for that. I want to thank you, Mr. Roberts, for your support and Board of Education for your approval of this endorsement. I want to do a special thanks out to Paul Sibley. He's been guiding force for me, reassurance of why I want to come to Chippewa Valley Schools. And he was the one that really convinced me that this was the right place. And so I want a special shout out to Paul for that. I humbly accept the honor to be Dakota's athletic director and to serve the Chippewa Valley community. I am a man of integrity, loyalty, and conviction with a strong work ethic. I'll develop a foundation of communication, culture of leadership with our student athletes and coaches, and a commitment to building the Dakota brand. Dakota High School is the biggest high school in the state. It's my mission to make it simply the best. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm truly honored to serve Chippewa Valley Schools. Thank you. Incredible support staff. Yeah, that too. Support staff. My wonderful wife Suzette. I have two wonderful boys, Alex and Jordan, who's getting married in less than 10 days. And Bon Agnes, who's a teacher in the district. So I'm very, very thankful for their support, and thanks everybody.
Welcome.
I want to add, Shane, I don't want to burst your bubble, but the last person that Paul convinced that this was the right place left after 6 months. So, I'm sure he told you it'll be wonderful. You'll be fortunate to work with Paul. We just finished the appointment of 4 new administrators to the school district, and I just want to recognize our Human Resources Department under the leadership of Dr. Blanchard in putting all this together and really ensuring that those people most deserving of these positions rose to the top. And a lot of that has to do with how the interview structure is how it's constructed, how it's put together. And I know Dr. Blanchard is never one to take shortcuts. It's a very thorough process. And so thank you to HR. And I think it's a testament to these people that they came through this process in the school district. So we look forward to having you in all of your new roles in our school district and many, many years here in Chippewa Valley. So thank you.
We're going to take a picture with the new appointees, and then we're going to take a break so everyone can.
I'm picking it up. I decided. My brother's my school. I made a goal to be 45 this year and I'm almost there. You are. Did you move to the
This aggregation of purchases from schools statewide and joint ventures that maximize value for each dollar spent. The REMC price was reviewed and approved by the Technology Services and Business Offices. Funding will come from the 2022-2023 general fund budget for this purchase.
Okay, questions or comments from board members?
I have a question. I'm assuming that this $64,000 is for unlimited number of licensing since everyone in the district, including all students and families, get Microsoft Office.
It's a continuation of the existing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is item F6. Cooperative agreement for purchase of copiers, Mr. Settle.
The recommendation of Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education to approve a copier contract award to Rico USA in the amount of $261,798 for the purchase of 26 copiers utilizing the state of Michigan buy-build cooperative.
So moved. By Mr. Pearl. Supported by Mr. Quintovich. Rationale, please.
Aggressive pricing was obtained through the state of Michigan buy-build bid cooperative program, of which Chippewa Valley Schools is a member. The recommendation was approved by the Building and Site Subcommittee on June 6, 2022, and funding will come from the 2018.
Okay, questions or comments from the board?
I just have a couple. First, it looks like the lifespan of these is about 8 years.
7 and 9.
And the other thing is, I know that, I feel like we've had the discussion before about copiers. Was Rico the company that had like the superior copiers, like you weren't calling for service as much, or someone else? Okay.
Yep, and they also have the lowest per capita by far. It's 0.003. So it's a third of a cent per capita, which is lower by almost 60–70%.
And service wise, they're working, right? Okay.
I know I have a contract. Who sends it now?
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion. Item F8. Security guard services, Mr. 7. Oops, I skipped 7. My apologies. My F7. Approved purchase of iQuest curriculum materials.
We recommend motions that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve Activate Learning as a sole provider of iQuest middle school curriculum materials for a total cost of $63,735.51.
Any motion for that? I will support that. Rationale, please.
The cost of the iQuest curriculum materials is set to increase by 10% for the 2022-23 school year. Purchasing the sole source materials from Activate Learning now will save $7,081.72. The proposal was reviewed and approved by the Educational Services and Purchasing Department, and funding will come from the general fund for this purchase. Consumables,
Right.
Middle school consumables that we've been using since 1786.
They're the only provider of these materials that are approved. Right? That's why it's approved. Okay, anyone else have questions? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No, okay. Okay, the motion passes. Item F8, approve security guard services.
The recommended motions that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve DM for a 2-year contract plus 6 possible 1-year renewals for high school security guard services during the school day for the approximate annual amount of $301,800.96.
Do I have a motion? By Mr. Mazak. Or if you want to support it, supported by Mr. Pearl. Rationale, please.
Aggressive pricing was obtained through the public bidding process, RFP 19.2122. The proposals were reviewed and approved by both central office and high school administrators. Funding will come from the general fund and athletic budgets for this service contract.
Any questions?
I have a question. How many, I don't see on here how many people we're talking about. Oh, I'm sorry, so it's 9. So, okay, I answered my question, thank you.
Mr. Boychevich.
So this is something new, right? We don't have guards right now?
No, this is something we're continuing. We have contracted this out, I want to say for 10+ years. This is something.
Okay, so this is something we're just continuing doing. Okay, I mean, in our other schools, do we need guards there too? It's like we just said there's only 9, and it's only in our high schools and 9th grade centers, right? There is no guards in any other schools?
No. And I think it's more about sheer volume of kids. That's where a lot of this started. So again, we have all monitors, we have security guards, and we also have obviously these ladies and officers.
Are these guards armed and trained?
These are not armed, no.
So they're just a supplement our ladies and officers, right? Okay.
This is not the company we have now.
It is not, no.
And is it because it's a little bit, is that why? I mean, do we have any knowledge of this company? What kind of know how their services are?
They went through really a long interview process with, I think 3 of the companies. I think two of the companies. And Paul was involved in that. So I think it's been very thoroughly vetted, and we're hopeful, obviously, that this is going to be a big success.
I would like to add that John Allen, who's the CEO of DM Burr, this company is back here.
He looks like me. I wouldn't trust you to be just my security.
But I would like to add that we've had some challenges in that area this year because of just the employment situation in our country right now. And so I know that the team who looked at this, Paul Sibley, was really very thorough in checking references and making sure that we have a consistent program that we can count on day by day. So I know that the feedback I've received is that the people involved in making the decision are really excited about moving forward with this. We just think it's going to be a much better situation for our schools next year, so our high schools.
So what has changed? You said we've been doing this for like 10 years. What's changed? Because it sounds like everything's going to be new.
Scott, is the renewals, is there a price on the renewal?
I'm not aware of what I think, the annual increases are up to 3%. So again, that's something obviously we'll talk about as the renewals come up. So that these conversations are purchasing department. The representatives.
They've offered the option for us to accept or not accept.
They have, we control the option of whether we continue.
So, well, it's mutual. I guess it would be mutual.
So, you know, I've seen them at sporting events and such. So they obviously work for the police department out there. Are they in the parking lots too?
Yes. And at the front doors of the high schools. So they're scattered throughout. They all have specific duties that they, areas of the buildings that they cover.
And they, I assume, have radios that connect with all of the staff. to report things. Thank you.
I just have this is not related to this bid necessarily, but can you hire a security company that has armed guards?
That I don't know. I would assume that
You
we
can?
probably can. So I would assume that.
Okay, was just curious about that. All right. Anyone else?
I just have one thing that, like, just looking at across the bids, I am impressed with the fact that this company has the most contracts in rather rougher areas traditionally than our own. And that their number of employees who have been disciplined or terminated is also the lowest. I find that rather impressive. I think that speaks to the employer.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item F9.
To get to your point about communicating together. At Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approved Electricom Michigan for the purchase of 984 new two-way radios for a maximum cost of $236,068.77 and a 3-year maintenance and service contract with an annual cost of $59,040 and the option of 6 annual contract extensions.
Our contract extension, are we talking about service?
Just
maintenance?
maintenance.
All right, I would have a motion.
So,
Mr. Porter, moved by Mr. Pearl, supported by Ms. Hyde, rationale, please.
Aggressive pricing was obtained through the public bidding process, RFP 16.2122. Proposals were reviewed by the Educational Services, Purchasing and Transportation Departments. Funding for the radio purchase and annual service contract will be funded through the general fund.
All right, any questions?
I have one, 984, that provides each of our employees who are in contact with students, two-way radio.
It's a lot.
So, I mean, the plan, the main positive of this is it's standardized district-wide. So right now we have 6, 7, 8 different manufacturers. I don't know how many different kinds of radios. Even in buildings, there's multiple manufacturers at a time. For this day and age, with communication a must, this will standardize it for all our schools throughout the district.
Is this how, do the liaison officers also carry radios at the security guard?
That, I believe they do.
Yes. Yes, okay, yes, thank you.
These radios good. Well, if you can tell, we have a 3-year maintenance, and then beyond that, if there's an issue with it, it's a trade. So we can do that up to 10, up to a 6 additional years. So 9 years we will be paying a service and maintenance fee that if something happens to them, it's just.
what frequency are we using?
This is all digital, whereas all the others are the vast majority of the ones that we're replacing are analog. So these are digital.
So each school has the same package?
I think it's set up separately. Do you know, Paul?
I know it's a different number per building, but I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. I can get that answer for you.
And they've been tested out and everything. They can carry the distances. You don't need a repeater tower.
You will need some repeater towers, but all of that is included with this bid price.
Vendors will come through the buildings and do site visit to determine whether or not repeaters are necessary in certain buildings, and the number of staff as well as training. Should we note that it's the lowest responsible bidder?
When vendors come through, that'll be an additional cost for repeat contractors.
So with repeaters, we have a $30,000 flat allowance in the bid. So and that's about what we think. We know where our repeaters are now. Question is, do we need more or less? So that $30,000 allowance, the vendor felt very cool. So it should not change.
What do they do? They have chargers, I assume, for all of them?
I believe yes.
So they charge them at the schools at night and then pick them up?
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. F10, Mr. Sutherland.
You recommend motions of code. Following resolution be adopted by the Board of Education to approve the general fund, food service fund, community services, child care fund, and the cooperative activities fund budgets for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, and further request that the reading of the resolution be waived.
So moved.
Support. By Mr. Pearl, supported by Ms. Kyman. Rationale.
The administration has reviewed the entire budget and updated the budgets for the general fund, food service fund, community services, child care fund, and cooperative activities fund, which includes both the International Academy of Home and the Student Intervention Fund, reflecting the most current information. Adjustments are often needed to be in compliance with the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, which governs the budget process and prohibits deviations exceeding adopted appropriations. Changes having the greatest impact in the general fund are further detailed in the following summaries. The projected revenue for the general fund is increased by just under $2.1 million. And the increase in revenue is a result of the following updates. Transfer of local property tax revenues to the cooperative activities fund in support of the student intervention program of $4.9 million. The special education millage increase, which is an increase of $473,000. MISD enhancement millage increase, it's an increase of $166,000. Recognizing ESSER 3, Section 11T equalization grant funds, which is an increase of just under 5.1 million. Increase in various other grant funding sources, an increase of 1.6 million. Review and adjustment of other revenue sources as necessary. Projected expenditures for the general fund increased by just under $3.1 million, from $179.8 million to $183.1 million. Significant changes from the second amended budget resulted from net increases due to wage adjustments of $2.2 million. Total fund modification contributing to capital projects of $1 million. And the review and adjustment of other expenditure line items as appropriate. Total expenditures increased by 1.8% from the second amended budget adopted in March 7th, 2022. The changes identified produce expenditures exceeding revenues by just over $467,000 in the third amended budget. The second amended budget added estimated revenues exceeding expenditures of just over $722,000. The budget modifications presented above result in a projected June 30th, 2022 ending fund balance of $31.9 million, or 17.4% of the budgeted expenditures.
Okay, questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Didn't Scott want to say it's been reviewed by the subcommittee?
Thank you. The budget has been reviewed by the finance committee. We answered the appropriate questions up there. Yes, we did.
Okay, now, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, motion carries. on the agenda. F, F11. Okay, that's Mr. Sutherland.
The recommended motions that the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve a 5-year contract to Clear Rate Communications for local, toll, and long distance telephone service contract and the annual cost of $33,133.
A motion for that?
So
Support. Moved by Mr. Pearl, supported by Ms. Biden. Rationale.
Aggressive pricing was obtained through the E-rate public bidding process. The proposals were reviewed and approved by the Technology Services Department. Funding will come from the general fund for these services. Just to highlight one of the areas that is a addition to what we currently have. This includes a redundant SD-WAN, so it's a small backup internet for mission critical technology, including staff computers, phones, things like that, which we have never had before. So if we lose connectivity between the buildings, we will have this available to utilize for our buildings or other technology related services.
Anyone have questions?
this thing this system we implemented saved money when we got the fiber optics years ago.
Yes.
We went from like AT&T to
fiber optic
fortune because we had fiber optic.
Right.
Anyone else? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item F. And approve revision of policies 2260, 2260.1, and 2266 and 3122. That the Chippewa Valley Schools Board of Education approve revisions to Board of Education policies 2260, 2260.01, 2266, and 3122, and a reading of the policy be waived.
So moved.
And support. Rationale, please. Oh, I know rationale. Revising these policies is a recommendation of the recent Civil Rights Compliance Review. Doing so ensures compliance with federal law. Questions, comments?
And there was just a little verbiage changed.
Yes.
It wasn't much.
Right.
That's just the addition of for services.
Yes. And the word services, that was it. Anyone else have questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes. Next, approve first reading to amend board bylaw 0167.3 public participation at board meeting. It is recommended, oh, this is a motion. Okay, do I have a motion for this, for the first reading? I'll make the motion for the first reading. Support.
I'll support.
The rationale is, the Chippewa Valley School Board of Education, rationale, Board of Education bylaw 0167.3 has been amended to more closely align with best practices for operating an orderly and efficient meeting while providing individuals of the public an opportunity to address the board. Questions?
Yeah, just section C, it says, bring people, speaking in front of the board, with speakers to approach the microphone, identify themselves by name, address, and could we check with our attorney, because I don't think that address is.
Yeah, this, I can ask on that, but this was really developed by our attorneys. So, and you see the next kind of is almost a disclaimer on the next line if and when appropriate. So, but I can get clarification.
You can ask, but you can't require. That's what I was.
Okay, and I'll get clarification.
So you'll get back to us on that.
Yep.
Okay, anything else? People have questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Absolutely.
Motion carries. Okay, next item. Next item on the agenda is from the community. I have two slips this evening. The first person is Ms. Rita Zelensky.
I am convinced that a criminal who wants a firearm can get one through illegal, untraceable, unregistered sources with or without gun control. That was a quote by Senator Joe Biden in 1985. Senate Bill 3266 was introduced by Joseph R. Biden in 1990. The Gun-Free School Zone Act, which deterred zero criminals. We use guns to protect and defend government officials, corporate executives, jewelry stores, banks, courthouses, countless Americans, even our school board members. Yet we post invitations to criminals at our schools. Fact, law-abiding armed citizens for an estimated 400,000 crimes each year. We the people sent thousands of letters last week to our congresspersons and legislators in all 50 states. The letters compiled facts of past and present mass shooting statistics, solutions for ending gun violence in schools, listing past solutions that have failed. Examples of solutions included every single student, employee, and visitor must enter from only one controlled and monitored entrance. Encouraging armed and properly trained teachers, counselors, and administrators who are willing to conceal carry in schools. They are the first line of defense, the most familiar with the campus, especially when time is crucial. Replacing classroom doors with steel doors and strong locks to ensure that no breach is possible to a classroom. We the people also pointed out that Chuck Schumer just opposed and blocked a bipartisan school safety bill. In our lifetime, our world has never looked like this before. Let's glance back at the last 2 years. A controversial presidential election that more than half of this country disagrees with the results occurred, and no one is allowed to talk about it. Censorship is occurring at all levels. Any decent, good, or great policies of the previous administration have been shredded, leading us to a collapsing economy, inflation, gas dependence, open borders, drugs funneling in, food, baby formula shortages, higher interest rates. Unconstitutional lockdowns and mandates cause division, job loss, businesses to close, skyrocketing unemployment. Suicide, depression, drug and alcohol use, mental illness are up over 300%. Transportation system is broken. Rioting and burning of cities, monuments destroyed, criminals given no bond, released, and in position right now to start again. Health definitions have been changed, election laws have been broken with no consequences. CRT, or the soft version, SEL, has been implemented and accelerated. Gender studies has exploded into the curriculum in our schools. Mental health is a parent's biggest concern for their children right now. And continuous distractions keep people from seeing what's really going on behind the scenes. Up until now, this board has toed the line for the government, the unions, the unelected health department, CDC, FDA, WHO. Money has played a significant part in the decisions that have been made and will continue to continue to affect our children. I am here to tell you that the worst is ahead. It's not behind. I've asked you to research, to ask questions, to make constitutional decisions that will reflect the oath that each of you took. The months ahead will be crucial for the people to educate on many topics that the mainstream media is hiding or covering. Yes, you heard me correctly, referring to all mainstream media. Topics like the 2020 election and what really happened, the truth behind the pandemic, the official numbers of the adverse reactions and deaths from the mRNA experiment, the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization colluding with a global agenda in mind. This information is not hidden. You can easily find it yourselves and see how they mock all of our ignorance. History shows us that when the government censures, it's because they're afraid of what we might say. And when the government attempts to disarm the people, it's because they're afraid of what the people would do when they find out what the government has done or is about to do. I have asked this board to be a role model, to be leaders. And when you see something, you say something, and you stand with your district parents, and you be the light for all the other districts.
You have 1 more minute.
We, the people, are the climate change that they are afraid of, as they should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Shipley. You'd like to come to the microphone.
I do appreciate being able to speak, even though I was late. My daughter had a thing in the school. So thank you for accepting my thing and still allowing me to speak. You know, I didn't know what I was going to talk about because there were so many things on the agenda and I didn't know what was going to be discussed about those points on the agenda. I do find it interesting that the person who threatened law enforcement action against me personally at this meeting was reporting at least 2 parents in the district to the Department of Justice.
I don't think we stated there were 2 parents. But if you already had that knowledge, well, good for you.
Okay.
That was not discussed publicly.
It was said kind of cloak and dagger. I was.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay, it wasn't officially said, but okay, fine. And that person hasn't, the reporter hasn't been here in 3 meetings. I don't know if that's you know, the prelude to a decision to step down after reporting a parent or multiple parents to the Department of Justice. If that's the case, I would like that to be made, you know, clear sooner rather than later. We do have an election coming up, and if someone's going to step down and that affects the election, waiting until after it's too late to get people running, and I would prefer it not to be done that way. I don't know if that's what's happening. So the other thing that from your back and forth I think I picked up on was that the report was made to the Department of Justice in the first week of October. So the memo from Merrick Garland was October 4th. The memo that established a reporting mechanism was October 4th. And I believe I heard October 5th or 6th. So within a day or 2 of this new FBI reporting mechanism, we had one of our board members reporting a parent to the Department of Justice as soon as he could. Okay, and 2 weeks later, roughly the 22nd of October, the National School Board Association said, you know what? The memo we sent the White House, which by the way, the White House helped them write, the White House helped the National School Board Association write a memo to the White House. Crazy collusion. And then the Department of Justice responded with this memo that set up this reporting mechanism 5 days after the White House helped and the Department of Justice helped the National School Board Association accuse parents of terrorism, of being domestic terrorists. I don't know if our school, if our board sends dues to the National School Board Association.
Yeah.
Okay. I do appreciate the willingness to, thank you.
And I made an announcement that the reason Mr. Bednar was missing meetings because he has a work situation that is outside of his control. In terms of, So
I do appreciate your willingness to interact. It's helpful. So yeah, I also don't know, because you didn't read the changes to the public. I hope it's moving more in the direction of acknowledging constitutional rights rather than being more restrictive on public speaking. I don't know if during of and by the board, if we could get comment on that. What direction, what are the specific changes? Because I just know that there's going to be potentially changes. I'd like to know what they are.
You have 1 more minute, Mr. Just thought I'd give you that.
Thank you. So again, I appreciate a willingness to answer. I think this is so much better than me having to pretend I'm not talking about an individual rather than me having to sit down and then you respond, but there can be clarification. If you can ask me a question, well, last time I was up here at the end, you were responding to me and I was able to clarify my intent. I think that's way better than us speaking for 5 minutes, being done, and then you speak and then we can't respond at all. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Next on the agenda is item H. So you can see. Next is item I, administration reports, Mr. Roberts.
No, there are none this evening.
Okay, thank you. Or curriculum updates, I assume. No, thank you. Okay, is other by board members. Anyone have anything they would like to share?
I have a couple things. I guess first of all, a few days ago, we got an email saying something about there was a bus accident. And I guess our policy says, even though it was right at the bus stop, I understand the policy says that the kids had to stay on the bus.
So the police released them.
I mean, is there a reason for that? Or I mean, can you change that policy just to take names so we know where they're at?
Yeah, I have a feeling that I can look into where that policy comes from, but that policy is probably not our policy, or if it is our policy, it's probably based on state law.
Okay.
So I'll check into that. Unless, Scott, would you know right now, or I will have to check on that, but usually those policies are based on state law, so.
And I guess I do understand that. I mean, this was an unusual, it just happened to be right by the bus stop. Or any place else, it probably wouldn't have this problem, but I mean, it's just, it just seemed a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think they would have to have some responsibility to check the kids over and make sure that nobody's hurt.
See, that could have been it too, I mean, it's like when
Or they released them.
yeah, I just, I don't know.
It could be part of police report.
Yeah.
Requirements, so, but I will check.
I guess the other thing is, it gets kind of tiresome when we have incidents at our school and board members have to learn the details of the incident from the news. I mean, we need to step up the game there. Mr. Roberts, you have to start giving us information. When we get a brief little email and the news has all the details, something just doesn't seem right there. We're a board member, we have people coming to us, we're supposed to know the details as it happens. There's been a couple incidences where we haven't even been given the details. So we're living off of what the news has on the nightly news or posted, I guess on Facebook. I've seen things, I'm assuming it's from Facebook. It just doesn't seem right. We need to change this. And when there's an incident, board members need to get the details as soon as possible.
That was what I was gonna talk about. I think that we need to set this up somehow as the board needs to discuss it because board policies are not being followed consistently. And there are things that we don't know that are going on in our schools and that we have a liability that we need to move that. So I would like to publicly state that we are not given the information that we need regarding school safety. Because I think if you ask all of us right now, how many incidents are going on in all of our schools and how many kids have criminal charges, we all have a different answer. And that is something that we should all know.
And
And I mean criminal charges against the schools for, if not because of outside of school incidents. And that's threats to school, the terrorism charges.
Anyone else? Mr. Pearl? Anything? The only thing I want to add to it is, you know, what you just brought up is, I do think we should be informed. What I think is part of the challenge is that, and I'm not defending, it's the timeliness, I think, that frustrates people sometimes. But when you have a situation like Fridays, where there's 3 people involved and the police are the ones controlling the situation, and we have administrators from our central office that go over there and are on site, working with the police and looking into lockers for 3 or 4 hours. I don't know if there's really time during that time period, and I get that it's on, there are rumors flying, it's on social media, you're getting phone calls, kids are texting their parents, I understand that. And I'm not, well, kids may be texting you,
I don't want to cut you off, please, but my point isn't just, I understand, when the incident's going on, that's fine.
Right.
But the incident started Thursday, did we know that? No. Does anybody know what happened at Wyandotte? No. We don't know what's going on.
I thought we had an email.
A day later,
Oh,
24 hours.
Okay, that's fine.
And the email that we're getting is what's going to parents. Right, you're getting the exact same email.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, I appreciate it.
And I guess to add on that, I know you say as the administrators are doing the research, nobody seems to have a problem telling the nightly news or our parents. I know you say rumors, but 80 to 90% of the rumors I'm hearing are the truth. Okay, once in a while you have something. So parents are finding out all the details and telling me, okay, the nightly news has all the details. So why is there not time to tell me, a board member, what's going on?
I don't know the answer, but thanks for your comments, and I'm sure the administration will look into it, but my assumption, or I would like to think that they will respond. Huh?
It's like we just gave a community comment. I would like to set something up for the board to get together to discuss this because there are board policies that are not being followed.
So,
I would second that.
So I don't know if we want to do it as a workshop on a different day or.
Can I just make a comment that I understand what you're saying, because I get the same calls.
Right.
But the other side, the real world, I remember serving 12 years recently as a township official, and the township's probably square miles the same as the school, just for a mile away. And I can't tell you how many instances I saw in the news later, but we were never told on any. And we're getting more information than I used to as a township. And I say, people would call me and say, hey, do you know what's going on down the street? I have to see it on Facebook sometimes, but it's just unfortunate that, you know, I think we get it quicker here than I got it at the township. Sometimes it was in the nightly news or the next day, but it isn't always practical to get that information as quick as some of the reporters on the scene can get it. They have other sources to get information from. So people that are responsible to send us that information are busy trying to.
But we're not getting the information.
Yeah, but they're trying to get the solution taken care of. By the time they get done, it is later.
Or never.
And some of the people that are involved in it find out from their kids or whatever, and it gets around. But it is difficult. I'm not saying that we wouldn't like to have that information quicker, but it's not always practical, and I found that out.
I totally disagree.
Township. Well, I'm not.
Yeah.
I
So
understand.
you're saying that the township has a lack of communication skills also?
I'm saying is that their priority wasn't to call every single board member about every incident that happened in the township.
We're not talking.
But we're not talking about the township. we're talking about, let's just read, a township building. If there was a fire in a township building, within the first 24 hours, wouldn't you want to know where it started? Was anybody hurt?
We're not talking about two kids getting into an argument, we're talking about serious offenses here.
And I think there's a delicate balance that we haven't found yet. Because I think, you know, as Jill had mentioned, especially in light of recent events in other districts, there is a liability aspect. And it would never be okay for us to claim ignorance. And that's sometimes what we're being asked to do in these situations, because we simply don't know. Aside from that, I do think that there is a factor of embarrassment when someone comes to us thinking that we're a leader and we have no idea what they're trying.
So are you talking about during the incident when you're getting
I'm
texts?
even talking about after, like even within a short period of time after, like a day, I think is fair. Maybe even within 12 hours, I think is fair.
Okay.
Maybe even back in
I'm
that
not
day,
disagreeing, I'm just
but like,
asking.
you know, in the same, not, but I just don't think we've found that delicate balance yet. Because I do think, I mean, my priority would always be making sure the kids and staff are safe before I have information. And once that's been secured, then move on to telling you what's going on. And, but there is a period of time between making sure everyone's safe and getting out the information that might be a little slower than would be appropriate.
Okay, but we're talking about, for instance, an incident where we had multiple threats at school. It happened, from what I understand now, roughly around 10 o'clock at night, 8:30 in the morning. I'm hearing from a parent. And around 11 o'clock the next morning, I still haven't gotten any information except for when I start going to find out, which at that point I was chastised by this board. We're talking about a situation that the day after one of our students, there was a serious incident at Wyandotte. We still didn't find out. We got a quick email only after it was brought up. We're talking about a bunch of incidents here that we don't find out. It's not while it's happening and people are busy. This is something we're talking about. We need information. We are more important than Channel 4 Lady News. We are more important than getting it out to the public. We are supposed to know what's going on. So that's, I guess, my final, that's all I have to say.
Well, I think let's talk about scheduling something and I'm not sure. What your calendars.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Monday over the summer is fine.
Yes, okay, thank you. All right, the next order of business is an executive session under attorney-client privilege. For motion for that.
So
Somebody else, figures it out. Did you say something, Joe? Oh, you did, okay.
I support.
Okay, thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Lisa? Yes. Mr. Pearl?
Yes.
Ms. Aquino?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Wojtovich?
Yes.
That's all. And we are going into executive session at 9:05 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought someone turned their mics back on. Let me hear it.
All right. We are back in open session at 9:49, and with that, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Patty, support. Moved by Mr. Pearl, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed,